Hi there, David Solomon's here, the Storyteller. Think about the last show that you binge watched until ridiculous o'clock in the morning. Was it because you were absolutely fascinated by the plot structure? Not really. Come on, of course it wasn't. You needed to know what happened to that character, the one you'd fallen in love with, you know. So let me ask you this. When was the last time someone grabbed you by the arm and said, "That spreadsheet really moved me emotionally"? It never happened, never will, never did. We don't connect with data, we just don't. We connect with people, with emotions, and with characters, with their struggles and their triumphs and their magnificent disasters. And today I'm revealing the 4 essential elements that make that make audiences instantly care about your characters, whether you're telling stories in the boardroom, or you're telling them over a pint in your local, or you're on stage. So the 4 essential character elements, I should go like that. Every unforgettable character, from Sherlock Holmes to your company's founder, needs these 4 ingredients. Number 1, desire. What does your character actually want? And I don't mean something vague like happiness or to be successful or even world peace. I mean, what specific thing drives them in this particular story? Iron Man doesn't want to save people. He wants to redeem himself by stopping the weapons that he created from destroying innocent lives. That's specific. That's something that we can sink our teeth into. When you're crafting a business story about your customer wanting a good product, it's not compelling, it's not enough. But Sarah, a single mum who needed an affordable solution, she's driving her kids to school. Now, that's someone we can root for. That's someone we care about. Number 2, obstacle. This is kind of where it gets a bit juicy. Desire without obstacle is just, well, it's like watching paint dry, isn't it? It's like watching someone walk into a shop, buy exactly what they want, and leave. Yes. The bigger the obstacle, the more invested your audience becomes. That's why we love underdog stories. The obstacle seems absolutely insurmountable. Just think about it. If I tell you about landing my dream client, you'll forget about it before I finish my sentence or the word client. But if I tell you about landing my dream client after being rejected 7 times and having to overcome my crippling fear of public speaking to make a final pitch, now you're leaning forward, aren't you? You want to hear what happens. Number 3, vulnerability. This is where most of us mess up. We want to be the hero, so we portray ourselves as perfect. But perfect characters are forgettable. Your flaws, fears, and those deliciously awkward moments they're not weaknesses in your story. They're your secret weapons. They make you human. They make you real and authentic. When Steve Jobs talked about Apple, he shared his failures. When Oprah connects with audiences, she reveals her struggles. Your vulnerability creates the bridge that allows people to cross over into your story and actually care what happens. Number 4, transformation. By the end, something must change. Your character gets what they want, or realizes they wanted the wrong thing all along, or they fail but learn something very valuable. Without transformation, your audience will ask the deadliest question in storytelling. So what? And let me tell you, once they are asking that question, I'm afraid you've lost them. They go out the door. So here are 3 characters that you need in business and personal storytelling, because you'll typically work with these 3 character types at some time. 1, you, me, you as the star. Sometimes you're the main character. But here's the trick, as I've said, you can't be perfect. Oh, you can't be a total disaster either. You need to be real. Here's an example. Remember my story, I hope you saw it, about representing that young man against the biggest pop group in history. When I tell it, I don't just say I brilliantly outmaneuvered their legal team, which would be a lie. I didn't do that. I reveal that I was a brand new lawyer, or even a trainee lawyer without a proper desk. That I lied to my boss about the client having money, and that my winning strategy was partly, actually mostly, a desperate bluff. I was terrified the entire time, completely out of my depth, but somehow found the courage to make that final call that changed everything. I got lucky. That's the version that people connect with. You understand that? Number 2, the person we all know. This is the character your audience will immediately recognize. They'll relate to the difficult boss, the enthusiastic new hire, the skeptical client that we've all wanted to strangle at some point. You know exactly who I'm talking about, don't you? The magic happens when you take this character, this archetype actually, because that's what they are, and you add specific details that make them human. Don't just tell me about a difficult client. Tell me about Marcus, who checked his watch every 3 minutes during meetings and responded to every suggestion with, "We tried that in 2012, while aggressively stirring his coffee. I got him now. I know who he is. Number 3, the extraordinary example. This is the person who shows us what's possible, how life could be. The customer who used your product to transform their life. The employee who revolutionized your process. The mentor who changed everything with one single piece of advice. I've had one. These characters inspire action because they prove change is possible. But they must be specific. And again, that word real, or they'll feel like fabrications, makeups. And trust me, your audience can smell a fake a mile away. So always give your characters names. It colors them real. Before we dive into techniques, let me share something crucial. You don't need pages of description to create memorable characters. Sometimes just a few perfect brushstrokes do the job brilliantly. So remember in my Beatles, I said the word, legal story, I introduced a senior partner at their law firm as Mr. Graham, and simply noted, we'll call him Mr. Graham, shall we, to protect the innocent. Although I doubt he was that innocent, and there was a raised eyebrow and a slight smirk. With that one line and gesture, you immediately picture this powerful establishment figure, or at least I hope you did, who's a bit morally flexible, shall we say. Then when I described his confidence oozing through the line during our phone call, you already had a complete character in your mind, didn't you? That was what I was intending anyway. So one of my favourite examples is Terry O'Neill, the famous rock photographer, who was our key witness in the Beatles case. I described him as spending time with me in London pubs, regaling me with naughty stories of the 1960s. Then I added that the judge hung on his every word during testimony. Just those two brushstrokes, telling scandalous stories in pubs and captivating the judge, immediately brought this colourful, charismatic character to life. Your brains did the rest. You didn't need his entire biography. These specific details did all the heavy lifting. The supporting characters actually help define your main character too. Mr. Graham's establishment confidence highlighted my vulnerability as a new lawyer. Terry's natural charisma emphasized just how out of my depth I felt. These contrasts create dimensions in your story. So we have to make characters jump off the screen. So let me share 4 techniques that will transform your characters from cardboard cutouts to living, breathing people. You heard this before, I'm sure. Show, don't tell. Instead of telling us Bob was nervous, show us Bob dropping his notes 3 times, wiping his forehead with his sleeve, and checking his fly for the 5th time in 2 minutes. Compare these. Our customer was happy with the results. Jennifer stood up from her chair, both hands covering her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief, as she whispered, "You mean we could keep our house? Really?" Which creates a stronger picture, which makes you feel something, which is why we're all here. Next, give them a voice. Each character should sound different. Your teenage daughter doesn't sound like your CEO, unless there's something strange going on. And he doesn't talk like your grandmother. Demonstrate by briefly switching between 2 distinct character voices. Maybe a posh executive voice versus a more, "Hello darling," casual one. You don't need to be a BAFTA-winning actor. You really don't. Just change a few signature phrases. Emphasizes difference in the mind. It makes all the difference in the world. Choose telling details. As I've said before, you don't have time to describe everything, so pick details that reveal character. If I tell you my mentor drove a 15-year-old Toyota he could have replaced 10 times over, but kept it because it was the first car he bought with his own money after growing up very poor, you instantly know something essential about his values, something you can't see from the outside, don't you? Also, share inner thoughts. This works really well when you're the character. So let us inside your head. The good, the bad, and the occasionally outrageous in there. The gap between what someone says versus what they're thinking. It creates an instant connection because we all do. We all say things that we don't really mean. I assured the client that everything was under control, while mentally calculating if I could pack all my belongings and get the hell out of Dodge. Thinking one thing, doing another. Here's an example of transforming a flat character into something else. I need to show you how these principles work and how they transform a forgettable character into an unforgettable one, using a story from my own experience. My brother was a struggling book salesman. He heard an Australian salesman doing well, so he pretended to be Australian too and started making more sales. Sorry, let's move on to a good one. My brother was making barely enough to survive. He was facing rejection after selling books or not selling books door to door. Then one day, an Australian salesman joined the team, and instantly, somehow, he outsold everyone. My brother, who'd always been a bit of a chameleon since childhood, realized it wasn't the sales technique, but the accent that opened doors. Despite being terrified of being caught, he decided to become Australian himself. With each "g'day" and "hello mate" that came out of his mouth, his confidence soared. Doors that had been slammed in his face now opened wide. until finally this shy kid from North London became Salesman of the Month 5 times running. And ever since that day, he understood that sometimes you need to become someone else to find your true self. Hope you recognize that from my story. Because here's the truth. People might forget your clever arguments, your perfect structure, your stunning visuals, but they'll remember your characters. So next time you're crafting a story, whether for a sales presentation, a keynote speech, or a YouTube video, spend time developing who is in your story, not just what happens. Because the secret of stories people can't stop watching, it isn't really plot, it's people. It's always been people. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm David Solomons, the Storyteller. Keep telling your story and make sure your characters lead the way. Thank you. Welcome to the Storyteller. Hi, I'm David Solomons and I collect moments that change everything. Some I've lived, like taking on the Beatles in court with nothing but some photographs and hope. Some I've gathered along the way, like my brother becoming Australian to save his career. And some, gosh, they're as old as time itself. These really aren't just stories. They're pieces of life that make you lean in and say, what happened next? I do hope you enjoy them.